You're not going to believe what he said. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Wait, can you enable the screen share?
Yes.
Thank you.
Who's got the slides?
Me. I think, unless you want to share it, Nya, I don't mind.
Can you share it? Also, wait, Emily, can you share though?
Wait, Scott, it's still not letting me.
Oh,
Yeah, because
really?
he did Beth instead of you. That's why I.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I can control it now.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? I probably just picked the wrong person. Is it
Our
working
name
now?
looks familiar.
No, I know, but like the problem is like the list of names is over here, and then the button is like all the way over here. So I just made a misalignment. You know what I mean?
Just
Ooh,
realized.
TofI.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, do you see? I have like notes pulled up too. Do you see those or no?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So we're gonna discuss the TofI synthase inhibitor. So just briefly, TofI synthase is responsible for producing CAHSL, and that's an autoinducer that promotes the virulence and motility of B. glumae, which is a gram-negative bacterium, and it's a plant pathogen. So this bacterium and its specific quorum sensing mechanism is of great interest in the agriculture area of study. So quorum sensing, again, controls the virulence and motility in the protein secretion, and it's mediated by the binding of CAHSL, otherwise known as N-octanoyl L-HSL, to its cognate receptor, which is the TofI. So CAHSL is synthesized by the acyl HSL synthase, which is shown below, and MTA over here is one of the byproducts. So in gram-negative bacterium, like I said, quorum sensing is mediated by N-acyl L homoserine lactones, the acyl HSLs, which are synthesized by the Lux I family of acyl HSL synthases from S-adenosyl L-methionine, which is SAM right over here, and an acylated acyl carrier protein. So this is the mechanism, this is the SAM, and the acyl ACP is here. So the lone pair on the nitrogen here is going to attack this carbonyl, going to go up and around, and the ACP leaves. And then we have this kind of like intermediate step here and ring closing action that's going to help us form the MTA and our CAHSL.
So that probably looks familiar, right? It's the same as from the last paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the one that Nya and Lindsay talked about last week.
Yeah.
So researchers were able to identify 2 inhibitors of the autoinducer CAHSL, but they were unsure of what the inhibitors' targets were, so they performed a series of experiments to determine their targets. So if you go to the next slide. So here are the here's the autoinducer, the C8HSL. Then you have an inhibitor called J8C8, and then you have another inhibitor called E9C3 oxo C6. And I'm just going to call it E9 for the duration of this presentation. So if you look in the assay to the right, so you have they use high throughput screening to find molecules that inhibited the quorum sensing in the B. glumae cells. So initially they treated the cells with solvent, and obviously, well, okay, let me just start off with what we're looking at here. So they're trying to measure the amount of the autoinducer that's inhibited, and okay, wait, Scott, Emily, can you put on a laser pointer real quick?
Oh, sorry, Nya, because you're not actually driving right now.
You're fine.
Yeah, I was like, Nya, use the laser pointer. I'm so sorry.
How do I?
Do you want to?
Oh, so you like put your mouse up to the screen, and to the bottom left, you'll see like laser pointer.
Oh, is that, I can't, oh,
Yeah, that's it.
oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so we're going to start with the assay where the laser pointer currently is on. So you have the compound G8C8. So they injected the B glume cells with increasing concentrations of J8C8, and here you can see the inhibitor that is, I mean, the autoinducer that's being produced is being, I guess, mitigated by the varying concentrations of J8C8. And so that is, I guess, indicative that the G8C8 inhibits the production of the autoinducer. Then if you look at the columns with E9, the E9 compound, there's still 100% of the autoinducer present. So that indicates that E9 does not inhibit the production of the autoinducer. So they needed to do some sort of like further analyses to understand the target of these inhibitors. So in figure C right there, we're looking at which molecule inhibitors a behavior that the autoinducer possesses. So it can be seen that both of the molecules were able to inhibit one of the behaviors of the C8HSL, given by just looking at the graph and seeing that like the increasing concentrations of both of this speculated inhibitors are causing the behavior to decrease. So then in figure D, they were looking at the toxiflavin inhibition and with an addition of the autoinducer, the C8HSL, and this was to determine which inhibitor would prevent the autoinducer from being detected. So if you look at the columns of J8C8, you can see that J8C8 was unable to do that, and that is because the inhibitor is only able to control or block the amount of autoinducer formed, not necessarily detect it, and that was established in figure A. And then what you can see for the E9 column is that E9 was able to block the autoinducer from being detected, given that there's, it's a really low number. So then with the culmination of all of these assays, the researchers were able to distinguish the targets of each of the inhibitors. And so for the J8C8 inhibitor, the molecule acts as an enzyme synthase receptor. I'm sorry, an enzyme synthase inhibitor, and the E9 molecule inhibits the receptor of the autoinducer.
Does everybody see that? Okay.
Okay, so the graph on the left here is reiterating that the E9 compound again has minimal effect on the quorum sensing mechanism. It's indicated. Okay, sorry, it's indicated here by the how high this bar is, because again, it's how much of the synthase is left, and there's so much of it left that we can tell it just really didn't do anything. So it's really not helpful or related to the enzyme at all, even though it's affecting the bacteria's activity. But the MTA, which again was one of the byproducts of the mechanism we talked about earlier, and J8C8 together worked really well. They had this synergy effect where they each worked pretty well, like individually reducing the activity of the synthase, but together they worked the best. So yeah, and they reiterated this by saying like they're both involved in the enzyme somehow, but since they can work well together, they're probably not working on the enzyme at the same place. So that's shown right here, where this is our J8C8 and this is our MTA. So they have different places that they bind on the enzyme, which helps make that synergy effect happen more productively. And then I think that's actually all I had to say. So
does everybody see also, this is related and complementary in a lot of ways to the crystal structure from the last paper, where they had either S-adenosylmethionine or MTA bound to the one pocket. Can you circle that one real quick, Emily? The
This one?
MTA over there, yeah. So MTA, that's like the SAM pocket, and then MTA is what SAM becomes after the end of the reaction. And then the other substrate is the substrate that pokes in with the acyl group, and the J8C molecule is sort of mimicking that a little bit. So it's similar to the structures before, except that it's like a bona fide inhibitor of the enzyme, I guess, but still, I think, very informative. Okay. It's a nice figure too, with the like the slice through, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
And that's all.
That's
Yeah.
it. Are we done? Oh, for crying out loud.
God, this is you every single time when you went over it with us.
Excuse me?
You say, "Oh, that's it?" Whenever we're done presentations, but we went over it with you.
Don't give me a bunch of crap, Nya. I'm not in the mood for it. I like this paper. That's the structure that I look at all the time, right? So can you put back up the last figure, Emily?
Yes.
So, you know, you all probably, I mean, we'll get there eventually, but many of you, I think, are familiar with like the inhibitor that we found, which is composed of an adenosyl group. Can you circle the adenosyl part of MTA, which is actually almost all of it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's an adenosyl group. So you can see the adenine ring is kind of flat there, and then the ribose is kind of orthogonal to it. And then off of that, we have this ring, which is, so it's bigger than MTA. And then that ring is linked to an 8-carbon straight chain tail. So our inhibitors are like a linkage of these two, right? The adenosyl pocket, then a group, then the acyl tail that pokes deep in there, right? It doesn't have that other thing that's sticking off of the J8C8 molecule, the ring. Although we could do that, although I don't want to add any more mass to our compound. So what we found really is a group that very effectively bridges the junction between the adenosyl group and the acyl tail at some level, is what our compound represents. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions for our presenters? Any criticisms, just insults, anything like that? Anything? Nothing.
Those usually come from you.
But I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? I'm like kidding that I'm kidding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Good. The next paper is nice because, well, the next paper is different. I'll put it that way. For those of you in medicinal chemistry, which is, well, Emily is an alumnus, the next paper is a high throughput screen. So it's different. All right. You want to go do all the other things that are competing for your time?
Sure.
Not really.
No.
Right, I know.
Yeah. What
Oh,
else
I
do you have to do?
Oh, sorry.
I have to take a physics exam. So does Lindsay.
Ew.
Wait, Lindsay, you're also in physics?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think you were gonna take it. This
No, I
that
decided to take it.
goodness, that just like gives me like heart pains.
Just remember that force equals mass times acceleration.
I don't even
And
think we use that in like
Calc based now.
yeah.
Oh, I think it's probably different than
Yeah.
like normal physics then.
And I
Okay, so
took-
you were taking the algebra based.
Yeah.
101.
when I took
There
it
must
at
be a lot of kickers.
TC3,
Go ahead.
what? Sorry. I remember taking physics at TC3 and we did one of the labs, but like took it to like a personal level where we were talking about like acceleration and like speed. So we had all of us get in groups and get in a car and like fly across the parking lot and then like slam on the brakes.
what?
It was so funny. We had to like try to get up to 40 miles an hour and then see how we'd like slow down and see the distance. It was so funny.
Oh my
Kinda like
God.
that. Yeah, he was this little Italian man, reminded me so much of Robert De Niro. It was great.
He's lucky that didn't end up on like the front page of the paper.
Yeah, right. It was funny.
The only thing we did was we had to like throw eggs at a at like a tight, like a tense blanket, and somebody had to like record it happening.
You have to, like, I think on Wednesday we're dropping a ball.
Yeah,
I
so
wish we
gave
could
a-
have labs like that. That would be awesome. Everybody get an egg.
right. And of course, somebody like I saw it happening. They were like, I thought it was in like second grade. Somebody like dropped an egg on the ground, but I was like sitting right there. Like I saw it like very intentionally happen.
Yeah. Did anybody miss the blanket?
No, I don't think so. My group,
Yeah.
like we had some aggressive individuals in there, so I wasn't really like about it. But
Yeah.
Aggressive individuals.
yes, I was just like, there are like bullies in this class. Like I felt like I was like middle school, and the whole time in that class.
I
This
took
was the one at Bucks.
No, this was at Ithaca. Like it was like it was just like who can do physics better than the next person, like literally.
Did you take 117 then? At IC?
Yeah,
Who teaches that?
Jerome Fong
Oh, okay.
and Colleen teaches it,
Love Colleen.
and I think that's it.
Colleen teaching your class right now.
Yeah, she's so awesome.
She's just so organized. It's like all like makes it so logical.
And she's so nice to us.
That's great. I mean, physics, I think it should feel logical, right? Because that's the whole idea, is that it all fits together, right? And so on.
She'll show us videos of her dog, which is like the best thing ever. She'll like use her dog and like throw a ball to it, and then that'll be like our video lecture, and it's just the greatest thing.
Creative.
Yeah. Dogs are great.
Oh, I'm doing these well, I guess one of the things that I have to do are I have so like there's this like it's a documentary and a book, and it's called Walking While Black. And this man, like I guess I don't know where he's from, like if he's from Pennsylvania, but they're having the Peace Center, like where I do like my other dialogues through, they're having these like a series of this Walking While Black dialogue where we basically are gathering, I guess, like information for like for the writer. I thought it was like we were relaying like what we find in these dialogues to the person who wrote the book, but we're just like basically just doing like a dialogue with all these like officials or like police officers that have to go through this training, like they work for the county. So
Wait,
I,
what?
like, so like there are people who work for the county, like I guess like people who are like police officers, like lawyers, like stuff like that. They're like required to go through this like training or this like dialogue series. So they have facilitators, I guess leading the discussion and like, providing the questions and providing like the space and
Yeah.
like if things get like hostile because like they have in the past,
Yeah.
we're like the mediators for it. So that starts tomorrow.
Oh. So what is your job?
So I'm a facilitator. So I basically present the questions like with my like co-facilitator, and then I try, I guess you're mainly supposed to let other people talk and everything, but if you need to like step in, then like you step in, or like if no one's talking, then you provide like your opinion, like that sort of thing. But like it's a short time period, so that's why they're like usually like you do a little bit more talking, but like you really want to hear what other people have to say.
Yeah. So you're going to be there with like these cops and other county workers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm a little bit afraid of, because I'm just like a little bit intimidated. I'm not intimidated because I don't get intimidated. However, like I'm just like, oh no, like these people are gonna be like, you're the youngest girl there, like I've done, like the way they make themselves sound is that they've been doing like racial equity work for like the last 20 years, and like I'm not even like as old as how long have they've been doing this for. So it's just like I'm like, ooh, hopefully they don't like think like less of me or something.
Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think you are at a disadvantage because of your youth. I think maybe not a. It's something that I think you're right to sort of be aware of, that it could be a stumbling block when you're around these other people that maybe they could be any age, right? They could be like in their 50s and 60s, right? So yeah, but I think people are generally very sort of understanding and cooperative, and so I don't think there's any reason to expect that it'll be a problem, but I guess not being aware of it's certainly not a bad idea. Yeah. Nice. Well, so Lindsay and Beth, you'll go next Monday. Right on.
So are we meeting Wednesday again or no?
Yeah. Do you want to do that, Beth?
Yeah, it's good. And then Lindsay and I are probably gonna have questions, so
That's fine. Yeah, it's fun, kind of fun actually to talk about them. So yeah, I would do your best, but it'll work. It'll be fun. Yeah, but yeah, of course, if you have questions, we can talk about it. Yeah. Good. All right.
it never gets any less weird.
I know. The other thing for me is like, I don't know how many hours a day do you spend on Zoom? Like,
Oh my goodness. So my
bad.
computer actually gives me notifications of how much time I spend on it per week, and it was averaged at 15 hours last week, a day.
Oh my God.
I was fully shocked. I'm not surprised, but like when you see it in numbers, I was like, I need to like get off.
yeah,
Right.
we have class and a bunch of you are like TAs, so that's time too. And yeah.
It was kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
I know, and the etiquette is so different. Like, we would never just be standing in a room just like staring at each other. Something would be happening.
Yeah.
Or like I wouldn't realize how to not like overtalk every single person that like ever speaks before me.
Yeah. I feel like I never start speaking at the same time as other people in person. Like
No,
it only happens online.
Not nearly as often as I do over Zoom. Like I actually notice it.
Like I think I involuntarily interrupt every single person in a meeting.
And I always get something wrong. Like I always say something wrong. Like always. Like any like if I answer 5 questions, like at least 3 times I got the answer wrong. And it's just like so like taxing on my embarrassment meter, I
Do you
guess.
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's because of the remoteness?
No, it's the awkward silence. Like it literally makes me want to like I can't with like no one answering. So even if I'm like not exactly sure of it, I'll just
Oh,
answer.
I see.
Just like I need this to end.
Yeah. So you feel like you feel compelled to share.
Yes, and I'm
even-
just like, why do I feel obligated when literally no one else is also talking? I'm just like,
Yeah.
some people need to start pulling their weight,
Yeah, I agree. I'm totally with you, Naya.
even though I don't talk in your class
So
like at
I
all.
have an 8 a.m. class, right? So I have an 8 a.m. class, and there's 2 people that if I sort of like, solicit answers or questions or whatever, there's 2 people that say things, and no one else will ever say anything. So that pattern has. I could just call on people. I do that, and then they don't say anything anyway. Like, what do you think out there? And they'll be like, nothing. No, even the video doesn't even pop up, and I'm like, all right.
I know, like, could you imagine like I guess like notioning that you're trying to talk to someone and they're staring at you, but they're not saying anything to you. Like
Yeah,
you know that they're there, but they're just
yeah.
not talking to you.
It's like when you wear glasses, but they're actually like totally like opaque with just pictures of eyes on them. you know
What?
like that's the real life version of Zoom, like with the screen off, you're like like,
Yeah,
so like I'm kind of here, but I could be sleeping, or whatever.
exactly.
Anyway, well, it's always nice to see all of you, and let me know if you have questions about the upcoming thing and all that stuff. All right.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
See ya.
Thanks, Scott.
Bye,
everyone.
Scott.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.